Welcome back to another episode of Straight Facts. We're talking about Mauricio Pochettino being the board of Manchester United's number one choice. However, Ralph Rangnick prefers Ten Hag. We want your views. We want your opinions. We want to know what you think and feel. We're going to take a look as well today at the Rashford PR machine and why I think it has to stop for the sake of everybody. Arsenal Football Club are also reportedly in advanced talks with Arthur Melo to bring him into the club during this January transfer window. This is the Football Terrace. This is another episode of Straight Facts brought to you by our friends at Fan Team. Let's go. Today's episode of Straight Facts is brought to you by our friends at Fan Team. You have the opportunity now to join their second chance fantasy football season for free. The winner is going to receive a whopping £100,000 cash prize. Check out the link in the description below or pin to the live comment section. Smash the like and share button too. Let's go. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, Jess. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That was a bit of a delay. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know. I felt like I wanted to say something better, but I wasn't prepared. So I just said like, "Oh yeah, hey, how are you?"
Yeah, that was a bit weird. That was a little weird. It's not the wrong intro, people. We're just gonna have the my graphics guy is gonna update the intro to add more people's faces into it. It's just a straight fact. Intro is going to just have a few changes. We're going to keep going with it for branding. That's all. So relax on there. Look, nice comment straight away. Jess is glowing. Oh, that's a nice way to start the show, isn't it?
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, that is nice.
Oh, it's better than everyone calling you Karen.
Where's the Karen? And Karen is 40 and Leanne Gunner, all that great and wonderful. I'm sure I'm going to get a couple of those. So let's get going.
When I told Lee yesterday they call you Leanne Gunner, he was very, very happy about that.
Oh, well, I'm not.
I said, well, it's like if you don't say one thing the Arsenal fan base agree, certain Arsenal fans agree with, they just come for you, call you negative. How dare you say that we're not guaranteed to win the league next year? But there we go. Look, the truth sets free, says Jess and Terry equal legend. Thank you. That's very kind. It's very kind indeed.
You should actually put Jess minus Terry equals legend. I think that's how that equation goes.
Why have you got to start with such negativity?
Because that's the show.
Please don't sing. Jess has got the worst singing voice. Does anyone want to hear Jess actually sing properly? Does anyone want to hear this? She put it into our group chat. She put it into the group chat the other day. Let me just play this. Let me find it here. Give me a yes or a no if you want to hear Jess sing or not, because she put this in the group chat the other day, the Football Terrace group chats. Anybody want to hear it? I think I have it here. I think I have it. Where are we at? I don't think I have it.
Yes.
No, I don't think I saved it. Everyone's saying yes though. Oh, I know what. I can just go back into the group chat and find it. All right, here we go. Does everyone want to hear it? All right, everyone ready to listen? We're getting a lot of yeses. Listen. The group chat loved it. We were all like, "What's going on? What is going on?" You're right. You feeling like embarrassment now?
Whatever. Can we talk football now?
Yeah, we can talk football, and we're going to start with Arsenal. We're going to start with Arsenal today. There's a few big talking points with the Gooners on socials, but Arthur Melo feels like a bit of a left field move for me. I've not seen him linked to Arsenal in the past. I personally don't know too much about him. He's now obviously linked with Arsenal. Advanced talks are being reported. Like, what's the latest there? What's going on?
Well, we need a midfielder and we need it quick. So we are obviously trying very hard to convince Vlahovic to come to the club. And so in January, it's very unlikely that if you're going to pull off a big signing, you'll be able to pull off a second one. So I think what the club is trying to do is get the striker signing and make that your big one, and then find some sort of band-aid in the midfield. And it's already been reported that like the top targets that we would want in the midfield, we would not be able to get because their clubs are apprehensive about letting them leave mid-season, which makes sense. So then you start looking at the players on the fringes of teams and loan deals and stuff like that. And Arthur Melo is somebody who's come up. He is definitely on the fringes of Juventus. If you guys don't know who Artur is, he was a part of the Pjanic swap deal that was massively criticized by the Barcelona fan base as well as Juventus fan base because it made no sense. It made no sense for Artur to leave Barcelona to go to Juventus. And it's not really a surprise that move hasn't really worked out for him, but he was very good at Barcelona and has really kind of struggled at Juventus and is looking for a way out. So when you look at it, I think the Arsenal fan base is a little bit unrealistic when it comes to the January transfer window. You're not going to get an Aubameyang every single time you roll through. You kind of need to figure out what you need to get and try to get it quickly. And sometimes it's not always your favorite guy. It's not the person that you really want. And so the thing about Artur, like for me, is can he get up to speed if he does come in? Will he adapt quick enough? We've had issues with that in the past with players not adapting quick enough. We need him to be more Odegaard and less Denis Suarez, if those are examples from Arsenal past. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, he's played in the Champions League before. He has vast experience. He's like 25, 26 years old. It's amazing to me how this fan base is so spoiled and always has their nose up at any player that doesn't have a big name and it's not shiny and all this kind of stuff. We need a freaking Band-Aid. Like we need air, and you can't just play Sambi and Xhaka. So suck it up. Like if it's Artur, just back him and hope that he does a good job. But to look at him as if he's some bum, like please go back and do some research. Like he's not a bum. He's going through a tough time. And like, I hate the throwing away of players when they're going through a tough moment. He probably just needs a change of environment. And if Edu and Arteta think he's good enough based on the last window, why wouldn't you just go with an open mind and not all this like, oh my God, but I wanted somebody else. And like, what about Basuma? And what about Guimaraes? Like, okay, like we get it, but like, suck it up. We need a loan. Like, get over it.
Yeah. And look, you're right. January deals are notoriously difficult to get done. You've got Dennis Zakaria, linked to Manchester United. It's different. His deal runs out in the summer. He's highly coveted. Mönchengladbach fancy getting a bit of money in for him now. Would they feel the same if they were fighting out for the title or anything like that? No, it's if Arthur Melo is a great example of a player that's just had a bad move. It doesn't necessarily make him a bad footballer as of now. Equally, taking him on loan is low risk. There's no guarantee. You're not putting him on a 4 or 5 year deal where you're stuck with him. If he comes in and looks good, you might want to sign him full time. I find it. I agree with you. I sometimes look at these. Man United made a loan signing a few years ago in Igalo, which obviously the season ended up getting shut down, and then he barely played after that. But in that little window between him signing and that lockdown and suspension of the season, his presence just in like Europa League games was so important. It gave certain players a rest. And actually, it was one of the better things that the club did during Ollie's tenure when it comes to transfers. Man United, once upon a time, made a month-long loan of Henrik Larsson when he was literally in the twilight of his career, started a few games, scored a few goals, but it gave a much needed respite to other attacking players just for 1 month, been for 4 weeks. But it gave such a good respite in that month for people that could recalibrate, refresh themselves, and then go again from February onwards. And you are right. Like everybody wants to sign their number one main targets in the January. I still see this from fans all the time around, why are we just not going after our number one targets? Because they're not always available, but you still need a body. You saw against Nottingham Forest, with all due respect to Lokonga and Pochettino. Is that how it's pronounced? Pochettino? Mm-hmm. Like they ain't ready. They are too young. They are too wet behind the ears. Forget their ability, forget their skill, forget their ceiling. They are not ready right now to step in. If you guys you're in an actual top 4 race right now, a genuine, legitimate top 4 race. And you could win. You win your next game. You're the favourites for it. Having an extra body with experience could be absolutely key. And I would say this: the most gooners that I see moaning about it are the same. With all due respect, I don't care for Lee Gunner's opinion on it because he doesn't like anything Arteta does. I'm seeing, and what I mean by that is, I'm seeing Arteta fanboys who defend everything he does, rate nearly every signing he's made, moaning about this signing. It's like, well, you back your manager. So if you back your manager, relax your brain. Relax. I'm seeing United fans do it with Dennis Zakaria. Oh, it ain't what I want. But you literally went on camera, went on Twitter, went on Insta when we signed him, was like, this guy has got one of the best abilities of picking players in the world. Let him pick then. Like, give him at least 2 years to pick players without moaning every
I think that's my thing. It's like, do you really think we're going to bring in our top central midfield target and be able to get Vlahovic at the same time? In January? Are you thinking that's plausible? It's not. And so if you could fast forward to the end of the transfer window, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but if we were able to get Vlahovic and bring in Artur on loan, that is a good January transfer window. Like, stop crying. We already know that the club is going to bring in a top midfielder in the summer. So, like, can we just calm down? And I guess what irritates me is I wanted somebody else, so this player is not good. This player is worth diddly in my mind. That's not how things work. You know, I may think I have my apprehensions about Vlahovic. I may want Isak instead, but I'm not going to say Vlahovic is the worst player I've ever seen. And we really go into that real depth of despair and crying and moaning. I see the Twitter spaces going now, Arthur, oh, why? It's just, stop crying. Like, it's fine. It's a loan deal and we need a body. And I would say a body that has played in the Champions League before, played for Barcelona, vast experience, won some things, is not a bad body to have.
There is safety in that, though, Jess. This is the thing. You've even done it to me in a banterous way, and I can take the banter. So when we linked to Rodgers, when we were linked to Poch, I did do some videos looking at the positive side of those managers and went, they can bring us this or that. A lot of people are reluctant to do that because for instance, an Arsenal fan writes a thread or makes a video today about the positive areas of Arthur and what he can bring, but then he's a flop. Those people then get chastised. You said he was going to be amazing. They don't listen to the parts of the video or read the parts of the thread where he's not Premier League proven. Like you've said, we don't know what he'll do in the Prem. We don't know if he's ready to play straight away. We're not sure if he'll be able to adapt. But the irony in that is that we've signed people's number one targets and those same things have happened. The risk with Arthur is the same as if you sign everybody's number one choice. There is no guarantee that player is gonna make it in the Prem or even moving internally. Even moving internally, one of the most famous examples of that was Alexis Sanchez to Manchester United. Everybody I remember rivals phoning in to Fan Park Live, coming on the show, saying, you're already out of the title race, but with him coming in, with the goals he scores, the way he won so many games for Arsenal, you got to win the Champions League. He scored 5 goals in 18 months. And this is why I would say to people, you're allowed an opinion. Of course you are. But just relax a little bit. We never really know whether they're going to work. There's a positive and negative to nearly every single player you can be linked with. There always is. But I sometimes feel there's an overzealous whinge. And it generally is when it's a player that wasn't on their list. And it's almost...
Exactly, 100%. This is not the player that I wanted. So this player that we're getting is no good. And that's what you guys did to Ramsdale. Remember, have you not learned your lesson? You wanted Onana
and Ben White.
Yeah, you guys wanted Onana and you got Ramsdale, and now look, poof, he's great. So maybe just wait a second. That's all I would say.
No, I completely and utterly agree with you. And all fan bases do it. But remember, we're obviously talking Rashford and his PR machine later. The agendas never go. So the people that didn't want Ben White, I think all fan bases have this, and it's so intriguing to me to watch. It's almost like I'm waiting for Ben White's mistake so I can say I told you so. It's
confirmation bias is huge. Confirmation bias is huge. You can watch a game and if you watch the Nottingham Forest game, people that didn't want Ben White blamed him for that. They said that with Cedric, Leno, Holding, and Lukanga and Charlie Patino in front of him, he was supposed to stitch that all together and make it work because we spent 50 million on him, and that's what a big signing does. I look at it differently. I'm like, and we kind of talked about this the other day, is that great players will look like shit if they're not playing with the same caliber of players in and around them, and they don't have the right tools around them to make things work. And so that was confirmation bias for some people that didn't want Ben White, is that in games where he doesn't have Gabriel and Tomiyasu next to him, he's no good. And you could look at it from both directions. But yeah, that's huge in football. You know, you're just waiting on one bad pass. I mean, you would have thought Ben White was the worst player ever after the Brentford match. You know, oh, we had wasted the 50 million, you know, like,
and look, and you know, you're meant to get back rival banter's rival banter. You can literally have a player like the fact that Messi and Ronaldo still get bantered tells you that you never get rid of banter from fans and people doing whatever. But I do sometimes say to fans, just let it cook a minute. Like, it's interesting. Like, Chelsea fans are going crazy right now. What's our club doing? We're running things so your board just won an award for being the best. Like, didn't Marina just win like an award for being the best director of football in the world? And because she's decided not to buy Luca Digne, or they've decided based on the fact that Chilwell was probably back in August, probably be back. Like, people get over ligament injuries now very quickly. They've just decided not to commit multiple millions of pounds to a player that's probably not going to see much grass once Ben Chilwell's back, and whatever else. And it's just a case of just maybe relax a little bit. But I do hear you on that. Speaking of relaxed, viewers, obviously we want your take on these. We had a few super chats that came through as well. Terry minus Jess equals. Is that better, Jess? Joke. Love you, Terry. See, of course you love the Of course you gotta love me. Random thought. Anderson Silva front heel kick versus Victor Belfort, best kick in UFC history. Do you know what's interesting? The front kick is such an underutilized weapon in not all forms of combat, because in judo and boxing, whatever, you can't use it. But the front kick is amazing. And for someone that started off doing sport karate, points fighting, essentially, very much Michael Venom Page or what Stevie Wonderboy Thompson's style, that I grew up doing that sport. It's very much a case of the front kick was a technique that I would use quite a bit. People very rarely had too much of a defense for it, but it isn't utilized enough. It is one of the best kicks. And actually, you kick someone square in that jaw with a front kick, full power, does a lot of damage as well. Getting a bit of echo your end, Jess. That's why I muted it for a second. Sometimes it works itself out. Sorry. John O. Sinclair says, Arthur would be a great loan move. If he does well, we can sign him. If not, we can go for our first choice summer signing, i.e. Bruno. How do you pronounce that surname?
Guimaraes.
Yeah, I'm going to well struggle with that. I'm going to call him Bruno. It makes a lot more sense. Both with a Bruno. Hey, there we go. That'd be nice. Both our clubs with Brunos. But look, it'll be an interesting one to see what happens. And I wanted to ask you, is another thing before we move on. There's another interesting kind of story that's circulated this afternoon. I've seen a lot of Liverpool accounts put out this kind of comment from Mikel Arteta that you and your team may not be able to play. So the Anfield Buzz shared this quote saying, Mikel Arteta admits there is no guarantee Arsenal will be able to play their Carabao Cup semi-final against Liverpool on Thursday, as Arsenal are currently facing a selection crisis with a number of players injured, away on AFCON duty, or have tested positive for CV. The interesting element is that it turns out to be somewhat of a misquote. What he actually said is that there is a willingness to play, not that he admitted there's no guarantees they wouldn't play. Feels to me like he's been a little bit sarcastic, a little bit like sticking a dig there at Klopp and Liverpool. But some Liverpool fans seem to have taken the bait and gone, oh my God, they're going to try and get it postponed. Arsenal, you're in the mud as well, so you're doing what we did. Interesting take that people have actually twisted his words to try and make it look like Arsenal are attempting the same thing.
I just feel this weird thing where I'm like, if you're so freaking sure that you guys didn't do anything wrong, why go to these lengths to even like twist up Arteta's words to make it seem like to take the shine off of you? Like, I had a very minor conversation with a Liverpool fan yesterday, and they had almost like a dissertation of evidence that would prove that they didn't have the players to play against us in that first leg of the Carabao Cup before it got postponed. And all I said was that it's just strange that you had like 9 false positives, And so I think at this point, it's just like, let it go. Like most Arsenal fans at this point, if we make little comments about, like, for the most part, what I see is little comments here and there, just laugh, like little jokes, like about it. We're going to play you guys tomorrow. It's fine. Like, let it go. If you're so sure that you did the right thing, then why are you still crying about it? Like, it's fine. You got your team. What's wrong? And Arteta may have made like a little dig or whatever. We know Arteta can be a little feisty at times, but we're going to play you guys. We're not trying to get it postponed. We've actually not really tried to get any of our games postponed, I don't think, up until this point. So we'll go ahead with it. So just let it go.
It's an intriguing one to me because I'm reading what he said here, and it goes, he was asked if Arsenal could press for a postponement. He said, you can never guarantee anything because you know that this changes dramatically in 10 seconds when the doctor comes through and gives you the news. We've experienced this twice this season, but our willingness is to always play. So to quote him for the quote from these big Liverpool accounts as well, to be Arteta admits there is no guarantee. It's almost like, it's not quite what he said. He's basically just stating that like they've got people missing. What he's actually saying is we've got people missing too. We're not applying for a postponement. We've got a willingness to play the game. And actually, he's not echoing what your club did. He's having a dig at what your club did and whatever else. But sometimes it's like misery likes company, isn't it? It's almost a case of like if we
they're doing it too.
yeah. Oh, they did it. As I say yesterday, Liverpool fans were like, "Oh, Man United got a friendly cancelled. What's the difference?" It's like loads when you actually look into it. One's a friendly. The results came in 48 hours before the friendly, not almost a week before, like 5-6 days before. There are lots of, and I've said to Liverpool fans all along, I'm not even having a dig at your club. I'm not even bothered that it happened. I'm looking at it from the point of view of I don't understand this process. I don't understand what does and doesn't qualify a club. And until we know what happens, then that's it. Terry, have you seen what happened at Mali versus Tunisia? No, I didn't. What happened, Harry? Like, tell us. I don't know.
I think the referee blew the whistle like 5 minutes before the game was over. Yeah, wow. I think so. I think that's what happened. That's what I was reading.
Wow.
Yeah, the referee.
Maybe like he accidentally, like 5 minutes before the second half began, maybe he like accidentally knocked his watch and it started the countdown from there. I don't know how it works, but there must be like an independent like timekeeper though that can. Did they restart it again?
I'm not sure. I'm sure Harry will let you know, but yeah, the referee just called the game early when the game was over.
That's mad. Oh wow. That's imagine how you'd feel. Actually, yeah, I'm seeing Tunisia versus Mali is like trending here. Oh yeah, AFCON outrage as referee twice blows for full time early. Twice.
Where did he have to go? He had somewhere to go. Clearly, he was like, I cannot be here any longer.
So look at this. Look at this here, right? So it says here, last 5 minutes, ref blows the final whistle on 85 minutes, restarts the play. Sends off a Mali player in the 87th minute. VAR tells the ref it's not a red card. The ref rejects the decision. Ref blows up again full time on 89.40. That, listen. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything here, but if that was in the Prem, people would be saying that needs to be investigated. Like they would say that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's something about that is weird, man. That is weird. That's crazy. How? I don't know. Blew up twice. And off was VAR. Like, no, mate, that weren't a red card. He's fine. We've made a mistake. No, he's going off. That's crazy.
That's really crazy.
Oh wow. I mean, look, I don't like to accuse anything of, but that I'm not saying it is corruption. He could, you know what it could have. Look, it could be corruption. What it also could just be, he blew up early. And has lost his head out of embarrassment, frustration, and is just I don't know if you've ever had. Have you ever like lost your temper or been so embarrassed or angry that you can have like a 10-minute spell where you're just not yourself. You lose your head a little bit. Like his head's gone. That's what's happened. I think his head's gone, and he just. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least it goes to prove the point that we don't have the worst referees in the world in the Premier League.
That's insane. Oh my
I can't even believe I'm reading that. Oh wow. But do you know what though? Sometimes wasn't it one of our refs? I can't remember which ref it was. A World Cup or a Euro gave 3 yellow cards in a game to one player. There was one of our refs did that. And sometimes I do love a bit of stupidness like that. I swear it was an English ref who gave 3 yellow cards in a game at like a Euros or a World Cup or something. But there we go. There we go. But someone said we still do have bad refs. I know England still has bad refs. It's a joke. Chill out. Relax your brains. Terry, mate, the transfer bounty is over. I can't stop counting down the days until Doncaster signs someone. Striker Kieran Eggard joins on an 18-month deal. Well, congratulations, Doncaster Rovers, for getting that done. Viewers, make sure you're hitting that like and that share button. We're going to, of course, go through. I'm actually going to show you my team a little bit later that I've picked for the fan team second chance season. Your chance to win £100,000 prize. It's still free to enter. If you haven't done it yet, you're being foolish. It's better than the Premier League's Fantasy League because you actually win money and it's free. Get yourself signed up. The link's in the description below. I also have a mini league running for this weekend only. That's also available in the description below. Free to enter. £100 prize pool that I'm putting up that you will win, and that will cost you nothing as well. So go and check that out and get that done. But before that, competition time on the Terrace. So the secret phrase is still running. The secret phrase is inside that golden envelope. We've already given you a clue to what it could be, and that is you don't see it straight away. Now, the secret phrase could be anything. That's the clue. If we hit on this stream 750 likes, we'll give you another clue. If you super chat in, put a guess in, have a go. If you get the phrase right, you win a PlayStation 5 and a pair of Cristiano Ronaldo football boots in a size of your choice. Make sure you're getting that done, smashing that like button and all that jazz. Now, Jess, one of the stories today that's circulating on socials I wanted to get your opinion on. We've got a poll running right now as well, with 89% that believe that the better manager, next manager for Manchester United and coach collectively would be Ten Hag. Nearly 60% him, 41% Mauricio Pochettino. There's a story today that is circulating out of France. And it's an interesting one. They said that the Manchester United management, elite as in the board, are leaning towards Mauricio Pochettino to take over in the summer. There's reports just last week, also out of Le Parisien in France, that the deal is almost done. They both want each other and it's going to happen. The interesting point to this story, though, is that they have said that Ralf Rangnick's preference is Erik Ten Hag. So Man United may be wanting to appoint Mauricio Pochettino, long-standing target of the club, to come in and take over this team. We've seen Rangnick right now trying to introduce his style. He's looking at bringing players into the club that suit the way he wants to play football, that are on his criteria. And he wants a completely different... Some people have tried to liken Ten Hag and Rangnick styles. I don't think Poch and Ten Hag styles are comparable at all. So it appears the board want Mauricio. The current manager, who's going to be the director of football, if you like, in a consultancy role, wants Ten Hag. We're also looking at buying players. Does this feel like a well-oiled machine doing a good job to you?
Nah, like this is so strange. Like it's so strange. Why bring in Ralf Rangnick and not go with his choice of manager? That should be the standard. Like I've always wanted like Arsenal to go with a model where they have the director of football and they set the tempo, like they start the project, they appoint the manager based on what they feel like the club is supposed to be doing. And you just follow the leader in that way. And it just feels like there's still a distinction or separation between Manchester United and what the club want to do and the people that they hire underneath, and giving them the reins to do what they do best, which is this is what Ralf does. The only thing that makes this make sense, and it still doesn't make sense, and you can give me your opinion on this as well, is maybe Pochettino allows you to continue on with some of the players that you already have and kind of get things moving a little bit quicker. If you bring in Ten Hag, you guys have to get rid of like all your players. And the only reason why I say that is because unless Ten Hag is going to play differently, his style of play requires something that a lot of your players just don't have right now. It's very, first of all, you have to be really disciplined. It's very technical, like very pattern structure. It's free flowing, but you kind of have to like know what you're fucking doing. And like it feels like they're already struggling with that with Ralph, so I feel like you'd have to get rid of a lot of those players. And I don't think Man United, the club, want to start over. I don't think that's what they want to do. So do you think that maybe there's a little bit of, if you bring in Pochettino, he's a good manager, he knows the league, maybe he can get this team at its current form ticking and also won't require us to start over? Because I think Pochettino would be happy to walk into a club that has Ronaldo and Bruno and Rashford and all these great, attacking players and get them going. And maybe that's what the club wants. Do you think it's a little bit of, Pochettino's more of like a quick fix and Ten Hag is more of we're going back into a new project and starting over, and they don't want that?
I agree. I agree with what you've said. I'm concerned with everything we're doing here. Absolutely. No, I am.
Everything.
I am. It is. I am concerned with everything because it's a case of if you bring Ralf Rangnick in for whatever reason, his decision should be law. It should be it. His word is the gospel. It should be listened to no matter what. And Man United appear to already not be doing that to a large degree. I don't care who Rangnick wants in to a degree. I'm trusting him to pick the right person. I'm trusting him to pick the person who is going to make Manchester United Football Club the very best team that they can be. I'm trusting him to do that. But it appears like you've had Richard Arnold say Man United we're not going to no longer get involved in football decisions, but the reports are telling us that you are. We understand the players are all at sea right now. There are certain players want out. Some are unhappy with the efforts of others. Some don't like the new style that's being brought into the football club. You need to solve that all by everybody singing off the same hymn sheet. And if the board and Ralph are currently and already not in agreement, this is going to go sour. And it's going to go sour very quickly. It's going to go sour because if Ralph gets his way and doesn't get instant quick turnaround, which is going to be difficult with Ten Hag because I think this squad needs more work to be done to it if he comes in, they'll pull the rug from under his feet, as they did Moyes, as they did LVG, as they did Jose, and as they did in the end to Ollie. In fact, Ollie's was the other way. They didn't pull the rug from under Ollie. Ollie's was they should have pulled the rug because it wasn't quite working, but they endorsed it because they tried to go against the mistakes they made in the past. But the end result was the same. So they'll pull the rug, in my opinion, from the Ralph. He's not even on a proper contract. He can be gone at any moment. No compensation because he's there as a consultant. If they go in the other direction and go for Mauricio Pochettino, he's going to want different players to Ralph. I think they're going to end up being at loggerheads because they look at things. They can end up looking at things differently. What needs to have happened by now? Well, how long has he been at the club now, Ralph? 5, 6, 7 weeks. Been there a while. By now, there should already be a decision on who we want as our next manager. There should already be a clear plan to who we're going to go after and why. There needs to be complete harmony between the board and Ralph. The players need to be informed, maybe not of the person, but of the style of manager they're going for. We already need to be starting to try to train them in a similar way. One of the other reports I read today is that the board are already in contact with Poch. They're already talking to Poch. You would get those reports of they're speaking to Poch about players that he wants. They're speaking to Poch about how he wants to introduce things. I am just scared that this club is going to make an absolute pig's ear of this entire process again. And we're just going to quite simply end up in a mess. And we're going to end up with like we've done with every other manager, we end up with these hybrid squads that are a mixture of 2 or 3 different philosophies. We could actually be doing that in real time if we're not careful. Ten Hag wanting to do things his way, Poch wanting to do it another. The players caught between, a rock and a hard place. The football brains, as in the Myrtles, the Fletchers, the Ragnicks, not agreeing with the board. And remember, the board have still got to sign off on everything because the money side of it still gets signed off by them. So I am very worried, very panicky, very, very concerned indeed with how Manchester United are behaving, what Manchester United are doing, and the direction that this football club is going in. I was very excited when Ralph came in about what the future could look like. But as soon as I heard the word rebuild, I panicked, and I said I would panic. And then there's no news that's coming out of this club that is filling me with any kind of joy. And we'll go on to the Rashford stuff later. Some of the things I've read today, it's not even about hating on Rashford. It's about how are we allowing these things to happen, And this information coming out, there should be no loggerheads. There should be absolute, complete unity amongst these groups, and there isn't. And there should be by now. They've been working together long enough to sit down and go, right, what is our plan going to be? It's crazy to me. I'm very scared indeed. Very scared.
Yeah. I mean, it just...
I need you to talk to the audience for 2 minutes because I need a bathroom break. So
what's happened here? Am I here alone? Is it the Jessica show? Hey. Yeah, but I don't have controls over the comments, you guys, but I will kind of go through some of them. But yeah, when it comes to Man United, it just kind of feels like there's always something going on. Always something going on, and it never really seems cohesive. But yeah. Yeah. Man United is doing Man United things. You guys are like, you got this. It's weird because I have my own channel, and talking to like my people feels different talking to you. I feel like I'm in Terry's house talking to Terry's people. It's crazy. But yeah, Man United doing Man United things. You guys can let us know in the chat. Do you guys think that Ten Hag is the right person? Do you guys think Pochettino is the right person? What do you think? Let's see. Christopher asked, I saw it. It was something about who do you think would be the best manager for us and why? If that's Man United, right now, I would think going with whoever Ralph wants is the best thing to do. But if I'm just looking at it from purely like who could get something from the current squad that Man United has, I would say probably Pochettino, because you guys have kind of a mismatch of really good attacking talent, and he's a very good man manager. And that's kind of what I feel like this team needs. Like, they don't seem like the group that wants to work hard and can be structured. They seem like they need somebody to kind of be their friend and coddle them a little bit. And I think Pochettino could do that. He did a good job getting Spurs playing really good attacking football when he was there, and he can possibly do it again with this group. And so for me, I think Pochettino would be the best choice for what you guys have right now. But if you've hired Ralph Rangnick, and all the PR about Rangnick has kind of came in already, like, he was going to change this, and, he was looking to do that and bring in these types of players. Like, why wouldn't you go with Ralph's choice? So it kind of has to be Ralph's choice, but I think it's more difficult than just that because of the issues that are going on above.
Yep. Yeah, no, I only caught that last bit, and I'm assuming I know what you kind of said there. It's just something about it that's disconcerting, and I think maybe what it is an element of like fatigue, an element of I've been here before, I've seen what this does. It can be you can get into a new relationship, and sometimes they can say or do something innocent, but it will remind you of a bad experience from the past, and it's like a red flag. This is what this is for me. This is just a red flag with things that we have done wrong in the past, and now my camera has completely gone out of zoom. That's better. There we
There
go.
you go.
So, yeah, I hope it isn't the case, and I hope they turn it around. Who do you think would be the better option of the two? Or let's just say the Ralph and the board are now in agreement that they're going to go with whoever's choice. Who do you think would be the best option and would turn things around faster for Manchester United?
Oh yeah, well that's pretty much what we were talking about. But Pochettino, I think for sure. And I know this probably sounds like a weird choice. I just think if you're looking at the group that you guys have now, and this kind of leans into the Rashford conversation, I think if you want to get something out of the group that you have, which you can't really just throw them away, right? Like these are good attacking players. That's what you guys really have is a plethora of good attacking talent. I think Pochettino is the better man manager out of him and Ten Hag, and would give them, maybe it's not the right word, but the coddling that they kind of need, that friend, because they did well under Ollie, I think, because Ollie is a good man manager. Like that's what he did, but he didn't have the coaching or the tactics. And so adding a little bit of Ollie plus superior coaching and tactics, I think would be the best thing for this group. If you wanted to start over, then you go with Ten Hag, but we're talking starting over. If you've ever watched Ajax play, you know that everybody from the goalkeeper up has to be technically superb. And this is kind of going off on a tangent, but I kind of think that Ten Hag is a better fit for Man City than Manchester United at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up there after Pep.
Yeah, look, I would prefer Ten Hag. That's my personal preference. But I hear what you're saying about what's actually going to be better for us as a football club. And maybe it is Poch with the squad that we've got. If you think about the types of players we have, their abilities, their skill sets, kind of reminds me a bit of Tottenham. It kind of reminds me a little bit of their team, where we don't have a team where you go, yeah, full of technicians. But actually, you've got some workhorses. We've got some good technicians. We like using a central striker through the middle. And even if Ronaldo and Cavani both leave, the strikers we're linked to are similar to that as well. So very Harry Kane-esque. So, you know, he loves inside forwards. And one of the connected reports to Poch coming in was his love and admiration of the way Marcus Rashford plays, which I feel like Rashford's going through an absolutely terrible, terrible time right now. There is no kind of denying that he is. But then at the same time, that's a fear for me. I also don't want them to pick a manager because it's going to be good for Rashford. They need to pick the guy that's right for the football club, because no one player is bigger or more important ever. So yeah, I would go with Ten Hag, but I do actually think Poch might be able to get a tune out of this squad quicker. And the reason I say that is, again, people will go for the key stage one, the basic. They listen to the opinion and not listen to the rationale. I don't think the board will allow a squad to be built good enough for Ten Hag to be successful. Equally, I don't actually think Poch is going to yield major results with this club either, but I think we might do better under him because he can get a bit more of a tune out of the squad that we've got and the way we buy players. If I was convinced that we were going to change our ways and 100% let something new be built and maintain that for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, then 100% I'd go with Ten Hag and build it over that period. We don't even have the fan base to be patient for 2 years to build it. The fans will expect, and I know what's going to happen. We're already doing it with Ralph. Ralph's being turned on because people expected there to be this instant success with him. And I thought the football would be better than it is. Legitimately, I'm slightly in that. I've got a foot in that camp. But people thought it was going to be the other way. People thought we'd be, you know, unbeaten, won every game 2 or 3-0 by now, looking comfortable, all the ballers back in the team balling out, all the workhorses sitting on the bench. And it was just never going to be that way. And I think, yeah, whatever we go with, we've just got to make sure we do the right thing for the club, the squad, and actually knowing the way we operate. Poch could end up being, my preference is Ten Hag. It's horrible saying it. I feel like I'm going against myself, but yeah, I completely hear you on that. The poll disagrees. They say 58% Ten Hag, but equally, I do believe that Ten Hag's a better manager and coach. But you've got to remember what is that noise? Is that your aircon? What's that noise? Sounds like you're on a train. Like you do.
It's the heater. It's cold.
It's very noisy.
Hold on, I'll turn it off.
Yeah, you do need. You'd have to put a jumper on. Put a jumper on. We don't need that background noise. You've got to look at who he's coming in to manage, and our track record, the way our owners work. Will Ralph be here? Will they buy him the caliber of player that he needs? Will they follow through with the plan? You throw all those things into like Ten Hag style of football with a squad that's not built for it will be a lot worse for this club than Poch's football, where he's got to squeeze a few square pegs into round holes. It isn't about who the better manager is. You've got to look beyond that first talking point. It's that I think anyway. I think that's what's going to be key. Like you could have one of the best goal poaching strikers in the world, but if your team isn't creating abundance of chances, he ain't a good striker for you. You might need a different type of player, as an example. Man like Prime says facts. I know you'll get it. Some people will twist and Terry thinks Poch is better than Ten Hag. We know what's coming, but there we go. Viewers, what do you think? Let us know. Remember, we've got the quick fire round coming up later for members and super chatters. Loads of members actually in the house, and of course everybody watching over on Twitch. Big up to yourself, Danny LFC over there on Twitch, Hersey99 over there as well. Remember, if you are watching on Twitch, please subscribe to the channel. More and more watch alongs coming your way soon, exclusively on Twitch. So get yourselves across. We've got a poll running over there as well that we want you guys to take part in. Also, we have some super chats to go to, which we haven't done yet. This is weird. Karen Jess, bruv, delete your club.
Karen Jess? I guess that's me?
Yeah, I assume so. I'm not Jess, but yeah, I assume so.
Okay. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, that's it. Strip Bear with a super sticker. Thank you very, very much for putting that in. It means a great deal. Red Wolf says, it's irrelevant who they bring in as manager. It will be a constant failure until the toxicity is removed from Man United. And Red Wolf, I think you're absolutely spot on, my friend. And look, you've got to bring the right manager and have the right DOF and transfer team to make that happen. But do you know what it remind me of? I don't know if you've got anyone like this. You buy a nice car, but when you buy a nice car, you have to clean it, change the tires, put good fuel in. You have to maintain it, get it serviced. You have to look after it. You have to nurture it. Man United have this ability to have great young talent, buy quality players, bring in managers that are seen as good, but destroy them. You haven't washed the car in a year. You didn't get it serviced. You put cheap tires on it. You put the worst kind of fuel in it. You never put any fuel. Like, you don't do the right. You damage and break the car. The water ran out a week ago. You haven't put no water in. It's overheating. The oil's burnt. Like, do you get what I mean? That's Man United. We have no maintenance of this club. You bang on. Great show as always, everyone. Just wondering your thoughts on Tielemans to Arsenal links in the summer, Jess and Terry, a midfielder of Partey and Yuri and Emil Smith-Rowe Odegaard. Yeah, what's your take on Yuri Tielemans? Would you be happy with that as a signing?
I think Tielemans is a really good player. He's been very consistent, I think, for Leicester over the last couple of years, and he'll be going on a free. I think he'll be I don't know who's in for him. I don't know who's in for him, but I find the links a little underwhelming, just a little bit. I know Tielemans is a good player, and obviously he's better than probably another midfielder that we have, but I worry about that guy. I don't think he's a great two-way player. I think he's quite simply just a good little attacking midfielder, kind of passing midfielder, and he cannot defend to save his life. And I worry about his diet a little bit. I mean, he's not my favorite, but he's good for, the good passes into the strikers and the other attackers. So I'm not trying to say he's not good. He's just not my number one choice. I would love the club to go in for Bruno Guimaraes, all in. I think he's more of the two-way player and the Xhaka replacement that we need. And you're getting slapped in midfield if you have Thomas Partey, Tielemans, and Martin Odegaard. That's not going to work. You need another workhorse in there, and Bruno does that, but he also has passing. So Tielemans is a little light for me, but he's a great player, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes because he's on a free, and I'm sure there'll be multiple clubs looking at him. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think Tielemans is a good player. I think he needs to move on from Leicester now. He needs to try himself and test himself at a bigger club. But I think if you bring him in, you're still lacking that, for me, like Man United, you're lacking that top class holding midfield player who will knit that all together, that will allow him and Odegaard to go forward, to drift left, drift right, and he'll still protect that area. I think that needs to happen. I think Youri Tielemans is there, but he isn't the type of midfielder you need. For me, Basuma, if you're going to look at a Leicester player, Ndidi, those players would improve Arsenal's midfield so much more, in my opinion, and would then just give a bit more creative freedom to the players going forward. You might even then be able to unleash. I actually think Partey is slightly better when he's moving forward than he is kind of sitting, like in terms of or when he's more box to box, and he may have more freedom to do that with someone like that in the team. But look, Tielemans, a decent player. I do get what you're saying with him as well. I do think there's a little bit of a fitness. I'm not saying he's unfit, but again, he's got the double.
I just look at him and I just think, eating good on the weekends. You're not, and he's definitely not a two-way player. He was a nightmare that game that he gave away those 2 penalties. And I was just like, you put a red shirt on that guy and let him run around at the Emirates and he's going to have red cards all over the place. There's just no way, so he, a great player. The only thing I disagree on is that I think we're a 4-2-3-1 team. Like, I know people think because Arteta was with Pep that we're going to be a 4-3-3. I think we get somebody that's a better version of Xhaka, and that would be Bruno. And right now, Martin Odegaard is a number 10. So I don't know how we move to a 4-3-3 at all at this point, without completely wasting Thomas Partey as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of my little thing. But Youri, great player, just maybe not for us. In my opinion.
I hear you. I hear you completely with that. I really do. We'll come back to some more of your super chats and questions later. If you super chat them in now before the quick fire round, we'll just star them and we'll go back to them. So feel free to throw them in. Marcus Rashford. I need to speak. I need to get this off my chest. I need to rant. I need to rant about him because there's liking the player, there's rating the player, there's thinking that there is talent in there. And then there is being very unhappy at his approach. And I'm not talking about what I'm seeing on the pitch right now is a man that wants to perform, wants to deliver, and is disappointed in himself for not doing it. I don't see someone that's scoffing at the manager, not working hard for his teammates. There was that moment where the ball he should have gone for that rebounded ball. I kind of forget where he is. People also know that I actually rate him. I think he is a very good talent. I think he can be a very good player. Certain people, especially Dan, he's been on recently. He's an Arsenal fan. Every time Rashford don't score, tweets me saying, "See, I told you he's not a great player." And look, everyone can kind of have that thought of him. I don't care about that. I think he can turn his form around. I think he can become a better player, get back to form. I think this is form. This is not his class. He's class. He's there. I think he'll get back into form. But I am sick to my back teeth for the PR machine. And I'm not referring to anything to do with his charity work. I said yesterday, I think he needs to take a break from that, publicly at least, do things behind the scenes. But of course, sometimes he's gone to war, socially with the Prime Minister, with MPs, with journalists, with people that support those parties, those newspapers. That in itself is tiring. That in itself is mentally draining. Trying to perform at the highest level of sport is mentally draining. Those things collect. I just think he needs a mental time out from it. Not that he shouldn't go back to it. Not that what he's done is bad. It's tremendous. He should be knighted for what he has done for those 21 million hungry children in this country. I'm so proud of him, not because he's a United player, because that is a brilliant thing to do. But you also have to look after yourself. But I can ring fence that, and I can ring fence the fact that I don't care for people that say, I always said he was bad. My opinion hasn't changed. I still think there's a talent in there. What I'm scared of him doing is burning himself out. There's all these reports coming out that there are some people at Man United that think he still may not have fully recovered from the injury. I don't want to hear that excuse. There are some saying that he's working so hard at the moment, 12 hours a day he is in that training ground training to get back to his best. Who the hell's training for 12 hours a day? It is That is absolutely ridiculous. So he's training. He's got these excuses. The PR's going out. The PR's then upsetting. I'm a Rashford fan and I'm annoyed reading it. I'm thinking to myself, why am I hearing this and not seeing it? Deliver on the pitch, Marcus Rashford. Keep your mouth shut. Relax a bit. Take time out. Train normal hours. 5 hours a day, max. 5 hours a day, max. And that all shouldn't be intense. Relax, sleep more, spend time with friends, keep off social media, get your head back in gear, and start delivering on the football pitch again, which is your bread and butter, which millions of people around the world pay you hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, indirectly pay you to do. They want to watch you. They want to be entertained. They want to see you win things. He has to stop. The PR now is going down like a lead balloon. It's becoming embarrassing. And I'm a Rashford fan. And I'm reading it and why are you saying this stuff? Because what it now does is put in even more pressure, especially from the people that say he was never good enough. So when it's like, so you're doing 12 hours a day, he's dedicated, he isn't upset, he loves the manager, he's working hard and he's still not delivering. Told you he's crap. Why put yourself in that position? It is, honestly, it's making me angry reading all these journalists. I mean, there's like 4 of them that his team and man have fed this information to. It's like Rashford doesn't need protecting. He needs to play well on the pitch. And for me, it's like, I even agree with some of those things. I'm like, okay, I looked at the 12-hour thing. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying it's a lie. I am saying I don't want to hear it. Equally, why is his club letting him train 12 hours a day? Why? This is where my football club is a disgrace. You don't let your staff burn themselves out because they will fail to deliver. If you have a member of staff, I know you and a lot of people involved in the Terrace know how many hours a day I work, what time I start, what time I finish. How many of you for months have been telling me to take a break, you'll burn yourself out, you make yourself ill, you'll go backwards, you won't perform as much, you'll stop enjoying it. And that kind of happened to me a little while ago. And I don't talk about it publicly because that's not my way. But that's the point. I don't talk about it publicly. I make my changes behind the scenes. I recalibrate myself and I get myself back on an even keel. That's what he needs to do. As I say, I'm so frustrated with Marcus Rashford. It's unbelievable right now. He's performing terribly. He's over-trying. He's overthinking. He's taking on too much. And this PR nightmare has got to stop. It has to stop, Jess. It has to.
Yeah. Welcome. PR nightmare with with a player in your team. Like, it's just, there's nothing worse than seeing their camp go to war essentially with the club. And like, he's not really doing it directly, like saying, I hate Manchester United, but basically he's holding his stance, like, and trying to make it so that people know it's not his fault that he's not doing not playing well. And, that's not really what you need. You really need him to just do it on the pitch. And I think he is a victim of some of the choices that Man United have made. And he's played a lot of minutes. He played through a pretty bad injury. He's been very off since he had the shoulder injury, was it not? And he just is kind of like not getting back into it. And I don't know. It's tough to see because I think Marcus Rashford is not, I mean, I don't think he's maybe as good as people maybe originally thought he was going to be, but could he be a really dangerous attacking player in the Premier League and provide consistent goals for Man United? Of course. But it's up to him, and he really has to like focus in on his game. And I don't think it's just Rashford. I think Rashford is probably the most high profile one, but there's just a couple players in the squad that I just think need to just put their head down and start to work. But how do you do that when the club is in such disarray and you have different managers coming in with different philosophies? There's obviously unrest and something weird going on behind the scenes. There was the clicky thing that they were talking about. You can just tell that there's something there. So I think Rashford's a little bit of a victim of some of the things that have been going on. That being said, he's like 25 years old and he needs to just put his head down and work because people don't want to hear the PR spin. They don't want to hear it. And it makes it's almost like it's cringy. Like, it's like, stop, like, just get to work.
It is. And there's a comment here from Straight Speaking Facts who says, Terry, this is stupidness about Rashford's class. He's always been average. And again, I'm not going to get into a debate anymore with people that think he's average versus people that think he doesn't. We've done all of this. This is great for people that never rated Rashford, but the PR makes it worse for him. So when he was underperforming the back end of last season, it's because he was carrying an injury. He hasn't got the injury anymore, but the performance haven't improved. Don't tell the media it's because of your injury, or via your PR team it's because of your injury. Just keep your mouth shut. Get yourself back on track. He's a human being like everybody else. And there was another comment I saw here from Paul that said, come on, Terry, it's not all Marcus Rashford. It's a team game. The whole team. Mate, I agree. Again, if you actually listen to what I said, Paul, Rashford is... The reason I'm not isolating Rashford as Rashford is just average, and we all knew it all along, is nobody in this Man United team since about March has played well consistently. Not the techie ballers, not the moments players. Nobody has been good. So to single out one player as, I told you he wasn't great, when some of your favorite players have also been poor, is crazy. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about Rashford, Paul. I'm talking about Rashford's PR. I'm talking about get your head down and work. I know, stop the paragraphs online because it just makes more people attack you. And then what Rashford does is he sees it and he reads it and it builds the pressure up more. It becomes, there's a famous line from one of the greatest comedy films ever in Austin Powers where the character Fat Bastard says, I'm unhappy because I'm fat. I'm fat because I eat too much. I eat too much because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I'm fat. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and this is what Rashford is doing to himself. I believe he's trying too hard to deliver for Manchester United. He's not doing it, and the pressure then builds because fans become angry. He then sends out the PR, which makes him even angrier. So he tries even harder to get them back on side. He needs to forget about everybody's opinion. He needs to forget about everybody other than himself, his coaches and his teammates, and just go back to what he was doing the majority of his time at Man United. It didn't matter back then when people were saying he was Trashford, no brains, no intelligence, because he was one of the highest performing inside forwards in European football in the top leagues. He was. And he was playing with confidence and swagger because he was delivering. It's now all getting in his head. And as I've said already, the PR is just become embarrassing now. And that's where I agree with these detractors. That element's got to go. He's just got to, I mean, personally, I said it yesterday with Lee, I would take him out the firing line. I'd find a country that we could send him to now where we can go in and move freely, Dubai or somewhere. 2 weeks, warm weather training by yourself. I would literally, the club must have the power to do this. Ban him from all activities outside of the club. Ban him from social media. Like, we see you on there. We hear you've done it. We're docking you 2 weeks' wages, whatever else. Like, that's where I want to see a bit of old-fashioned Fergie management in there. Be like tough love with him. Make him take a proper break, recalibrate. And I bet he would come back and for some people, he's never going to be the player that I see because they just don't see it or they don't like him. But if Rashford comes back and can start scoring and creating at the same rate he's done in the last 2 seasons, then Man United are going to improve. But he isn't the only one. We need more players to come back in and do it. But I think Rashford, out of everybody, is in an absolutely terrible space right now. And you see the dejection on his face, the anger, the frustration, and he's got to do something.
They're lacking confidence.
PR's got to go. PR's got to go. Get rid of these damn teams of people that tweet for you as well. Every football player should sack the people that tweet for them. If you don't want to tweet yourself, don't tweet. Like, don't be on Twitter. Like, get rid of it. It's so annoying. The fact that we also know that... Go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you don't have to have a response to everything as well. Like, it just feels like we have a bad game. I need a response. This comes out. I have a response. You don't need to respond. Sometimes the best thing is to just like be quiet. I used to hate I still do, when the Arsenal players, whenever we lose a game, they put out some funky like tweet about like, oh, not good enough. Shut up. Just win. Like, I don't care. I'm not hearing you. Like, and it's kind of like that with Rashford. He always kind of has something coming after. And I don't know how he gets his confidence back. I think there's just an overall lack of confidence at Manchester United. But singularly, like, he definitely needs to get it together because I think he's been there long enough where they probably look at him as some sort of, not a leader, but, like a solid part of the team. And if he's not playing well, if Bruno's not playing well, I think you're looking at a tough road ahead, so he definitely has to get it together.
I get that completely. A few people here saying, Terry, you've never protected Martial like this. I'm not protecting Rashford. I'm slamming him. I'm having a go at him. This is not protecting Rashford. This is me. Again, that is the weirdest response I've ever seen to me slamming somebody. It is what it is. We all knew, like, it's one of those things. Like, I protected Martial from the abuse like I protect all Man United players. I feel like as a fan, that's my job. But I used to criticize Martial, and the only real criticism I've ever had of Martial is his lack of ability to fight for his place. I think he has a deficiency in his character, which makes him he's a flight person, not a fight person in certain moments. And I don't know how you develop that. I can understand to a degree, because we're all human, how you can make yourself relax and feel less pressure. Techniques you can do, psychology sort of session where you can go to a psychiatrist that can help calm you down. I don't know how you make yourself fight through adversity. I don't have an answer for that. But I'm definitely
he's not a kid anymore. The reality is he's not a kid anymore. And like when you're the young, hot new thing, like you could just kind of do your thing and there's no pressure. There's pressure on him now. He's like Greenwood doesn't have pressure on him because he's the kid now. Rashford is he's the elder statesman in the team. He's been there for forever and he just has to get up to it. And he's going to have competition for his place from here on out, whether it's at Manchester United or in the England setup. He's going to have competition. And if he can't hack it, then he's going to be in a tough spot. But I still think he's a good player and maybe he can get his mind right. I don't know. But like, he's 25, but he's been around long enough where like, it's time to put up or shut up. Like you need to do it.
I hear you. Nez says it sounds like you're protecting him. Do you know why it sounds? Do you know why it sounds to you like I'm protecting him? Because what I'm
is that your face?
It is my face. Yeah, it is my face. Yeah.
I was like, that guy looks so much like.
I think what I found with a lot of people, Jess, is that unless Leah said something to me in the studio about a month ago, and it's one of the realest comments ever. He was talking more about Twitter, but I think it translates across socials. People never focus on what you say; it's what you don't say. So for a lot of people, they'll hear me criticize Rashford and say he's being dropped, but I'm not saying what they want me to say. I'm not saying
he's a crap player.
He's crap, any good. And he was never any good. That's all they want to hear. And unless you literally could slam everything about him, but at the end of it say, but I want him to do all these things because I think there's a talent in there. They write off everything else you've said. So you think Rashford's a talent, therefore everything you've said is nonsense. And for me, I can't go back on what I've said. Where he's at now, if this maintains for 3, 4, 5, 3 seasons running, he moves clubs and is just as bad, then I'll concede that he was never as good as I thought he would be. However, if he goes back to the point is, if he goes back, if he gets through this run in 4 weeks, if he clicks and then spends the next 2.5, 3 years being very consistent again, one of the highest goal scorers, one of the highest creators across Europe in his position in the top 4 leagues again, I'm pretty sure the people were saying he was trash and just saying, well, it's just another 2-year purple patch. He'll have a bad few months again soon. So that's why I'm not really getting involved in that debate. And I'm never going to bow down and say what people want me to say, because that's weird. Like, you've got to have an opinion on it. And then, some you get right, some you get wrong. Terry's 2 favorites are Rashford and Luke Shaw. That's not true. My 2 favorite Manchester United players, if I was to honestly pick 2 favorites, would be Paul Pogba Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford are my 2 favorites to watch. I really like Bruno Fernandes. Not my favorite to watch, though, as an example. My other favorite player, if I was to pick one out of the club in terms of how he does things and what he does, I quite like Varane now, to be fair. Who else? I don't have many favorites there anymore because I'm not really that keen on too many of them. Obviously, Ronaldo.
See?
What do you mean?
I was at a point with Arsenal for a long time where it was hard to pick a player that I liked. Like, I was really scratching, trying to figure it out. It's bad when you get to that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just some players that did. Let me ask you this. Like, you've been a Man United fan your entire life. So do you ever get this feeling that sometimes the players that you're looking at play in the Man United shirt aren't actually good enough, or Man United players? Because I would get that all the time. Like, they just didn't fit. And it felt weird even supporting them, because it was I would support them, but I'd be like, you're not an Arsenal player like
I
that
get
I
that.
would recognize.
No, I get that, and there are certainly some at the club now. Phil Jones is no longer like he had potential to be. He's not. You know, he's a great example of someone that isn't good enough for Manchester United anymore. I still have to look at the football club, though. We have spent over £1 billion on players and £1 billion on wages in 9 years, and nobody in that time has looked. Bruno did. Like, players have at times. Pogba at times, Bruno at times, Rashford at times, Martial at times, Zlatan. I'm just naming a few. At times have looked like Man United players, but I don't think we've had no more than 2 or 3 players that have been consistent for more than a season or two. We have never had at Man United in the last 9 years 4 players or more in form for 5 games running at the same time. We haven't had that. You know, you look at Liverpool. How many? Liverpool, like Mo Salah's in form. You have Henderson in form, Trent in form, Van Dijk in form, Alisson in form, Firmino in form. Like really good form. The rest of them playing well. Man City do it all the time. Man United haven't got to that. Now, again, we can focus on individual. Sometimes I wish, though, I pray that all the players are not rated. The McTominays, the Rashfords, some part of me wants them all gone. But nothing else to change at the club to highlight what the issue is. Nothing will change. We'll still have the same issue because the club doesn't have high enough standards internally to produce that level of outcome, which is why Rangnick's come in, work harder, push harder. There is a kickback from certain people because this is like all walks of life. If I was paying you to do a job, any job, and you were doing it half-heartedly, barely putting any effort in by the standard that you were getting paid, and then suddenly, after like 2 years of getting that, someone new came in and was trying to make you do the work right. You are going to naturally kick back against that to begin with because everyone loves getting paid for doing nothing or doing a lot less than good, you know. So, yeah, look, it's one of those things for me where I feel like, you know, we go back to the Rashford talk. The club needs to help him. He needs to help himself, though. There are certain things I agree with. The PR's got to go. Drop the charity work for a small, and a lot of people say, how can you dare you say drop the charity work for a small period of time? I think you have to step back. You have to look after yourself because the look on his face ain't good for him. You know, it's a bit like Anthony Martial. The reason I want him and Pogba to leave is I think it's the best thing for them because there's a nasty percentage of our fan base that are probably never going to forgive them and never want to have them back. A change is as good as a rest. Move yourself on. You know, get somewhere that loves you. Go somewhere where you really want to be. Because for you as a human being, sometimes that's more important. You know, sometimes that's more important. Plus, I also want to show the same side of me turning around to these fools that just think Rashford is the problem. There are some people that just think Martial and Pogba are the problem. And when they leave and the club remains in the same situation, I'll be saying I told you so to them as well. Like, this is why I don't get involved in these player wars because they're all wrong. They are all wrong. Everyone that's Bruno versus Pogba in every direction, you're all wrong. None of you win the fight. You're all wrong.
The best part of it is when that player leaves. So when Martial leaves, right, and he goes to whatever team he goes to, you guys lose a game on the same day that he scores a goal for somebody else. Then see, we should have got rid of him.
I tweeted this the day after Ollie was sacked and said the Ollie in, Ollie out era isn't over. It just moves on to something else. Martial versus Rashford will not end until they are both retired, and then it will still continue on socials forever. Gerard Lampard's goals are still being discussed. You know, it will never end. And I'm at a point where I am getting to this stage now where I'm sort of like, I think I'm done with the conversations. And you'll win some and you'll lose some. I'll have an opinion that Haaland will score more goals than Mbappe. Some will say, no, Mbappe in his career will score more. One of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong. It doesn't really matter. What's boring is I literally see one guy, he's in spaces all the time. The spaces, he does the same space every week about the same player. I'm like, how? How have you got the energy for that? Like, I'm sitting here not debating once, really, Rashford's quality versus Martial's quality versus Sancho's. This is about the PR stuff I'm talking about, and I think that's got to stop. But yeah, I'm done with the player wars, the player FCs. It's dead. What needs to happen? It needs someone who's trendy and cool to make it like, we need someone who's like got that much. But you need someone like a True Geordie. You need someone, maybe not even a YouTuber. You need someone who's really cool and trendy that the kids want to be like. To basically say being player FC is like the lamest, nastiest. You literally no street credibility if you're a player FC person. We need someone to push that mantra that's big enough and powerful enough, because the reason people do it is because it's trendy. It's one of the reasons why the deal for Chris Wood was getting laughed at, because Chris Wood's from Burnley. It's like boring on toast. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like there's no flavor, there's no spice, there's no seasoning. It's boring, bland, horrible. 20 minutes. Oh, it's terrible. Actually, he scores goals. Creating the chances, he'll put them away. It's a sensible piece of business, but there's nothing cool about it, so everyone's laughing at it. What we need people to do is make player FCs so uncool, so unpopular that nobody does it anymore, because it's just boring. It's so boring.
Yeah, I hear you. Like I can't stand it, and like we have that all the time, especially like when Ben White, nobody wanted to give him a chance. And my thing is like I'll have an initial reaction on a player. Like I thought when I first saw Ben White, I was like, what do we need him for? We need a midfielder. And I think he's a lot better than I gave him credit for when he first came, but it never was about Saliba. But they made it about Saliba, and there's people that in our fan base that were like, I'm a Marseille fan now because I hate Arteta for getting rid of Saliba and Guendouzi. And I'm just like, you guys are really strange, and get well soon. Get well soon. This is very strange.
I've obviously engaged in these player debates, but the reason why I'm saying I'm getting tired of them is, let's just say, there's a super chat here, and I'm going to go to the other super chats that we've started later. That says, Terry, my concern is if you analyze Rashford closely over the last 2 years, he's had more bad games than good. That can't be said about everyone. But that's subjective. Because I know a lot of people that absolutely stan Paul Pogba. They think he's the greatest in the world. If you say that he's inconsistent, they say no, but there are lots of people that think that he is. That is a subjective view, which is absolutely fine. My problem with these player debates that we've created, and I appreciate your super chat, brother. Thank you very much indeed. Remember, if you're super chatting, have a guess at the secret phrase. You might win a PlayStation 5. Why would you not guess? Please do it. That's what it's there for you guys. Thank you. I look at it from this kind of point of view. No one wants to set a bar. So there's a couple of guys on Twitter recently, we've got to have a debate about Rashford. And we'll work a time out to do it. Might do it in one of these straight fact shows, bring some more people on. But and when I've suggested this, all the people, so me and this one guy got into a bit of a Twitter conversation. It wasn't a fight about, I think Rashford's a very good player. He thinks Rashford's dead. And then people come in saying it's not all about stats, it's about eye test. And I said, but we need to set a metric. So whatever you think he's bad at, there's got to be something tangible to prove your point. And then we set a standard and we see if he achieves it over a certain period of time. Otherwise, you can just keep moving the goalposts and always say he's trash. Now, but the guy that wants to debate agreed with me and said, you absolutely have to do that. Everybody else that wants to say Rashford's crap is, no, you can't set measurements. You can't. And it's like, well, you don't want to set measurements because you don't ever want to be proven. And that's the problem with these debates. Nobody ever sets a standard for someone to achieve, because then they run the risk of having to say, I was wrong. So let's just say the standard was, he has to lose the ball less than 18 times per game, has to create over 1.5 chances per game. Can't do, like, set some, I'm talking multiple metrics, because at the end of the day, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to lose the ball. If you set those metrics and he achieves them, like, there has to be a time where you say, I was wrong, irrespective of your preference of a football player, your eye test of a football player. Do you get where I'm coming from? Otherwise, that's why it's boring, because the debate never ends. It isn't that your opinion is wrong. It's, well, how do we resolve this debate? A debate's only worthwhile having if we can come to a conclusion. If we can't come
that's why I don't like going on your debate shows, because you always have the metrics, and I don't like metrics. I like vibes, so there you go.
No, and I do get that.
Because then I can't be wrong.
No, exactly. No, and I hear you. But there has to be, when you're trying to say there's a problem with a player, you've got to be able to prove that problem. And that's all it comes down to. So that's why I say I'm bored of it, in the sense of, you've said he isn't good enough. I've said it, I think he is. Let's leave it there now. In terms of debates, you can tweet what you want. I don't give a shit what people tweet. If I don't like what you tweet, I just either don't follow you or mute you or block you. Like, it ain't the end of the world. Like, I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying, I think we've come to a point now where these arguments are it's a bit like the Gerrard Lampard Scholes debates. Like, I'm at a point where I don't think I'm ever going to have it again. I just don't see the point, because you're never changing anyone's mind, no matter how good your points are. Like, I've seen people not even my debates. I've seen people stump others and where they can't even respond. And have you changed your mind? No. It's like, so it's like, what's the point? It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's called consistency. Yeah, Tony, define the consistency. It can't just be when I think he's playing well, because you can just, in a debate, you can just keep raising that bar or moving the goalpost so that he's never consistent. What does that look like tangibly? There has to be, and when you're an attacking player, it's a lot easier to measure that tangibility. So I just want to know what people mean by it. And very rarely anybody can tell me. And that's why I'm done with the debate. Like, I think, Tony, and I mean this with respect, buddy, if you don't think Rashford or Pogba are consistent, I don't think you'll ever change your mind no matter what they do on the pitch. Unless they, again, the irony will be, unless Rashford starts scoring 35 goals a season 3 years running. And the irony is that's a metric. So set that. If your metric is he's got to score 30 goals a season, then say that. I don't know. I'm just at a point where it's, it's boring. It's just getting boring now, like in terms of that, like player debates anyway. But there we go. Quick fire round coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've hit that like and that share button for us. Really, really important that you get that done. It really is. What's Twisted just said stats again. Twisted, I love you, but I don't know what the hell that means. That means nothing. Means nothing at all. Make it make sense. Write something there. There we go, people. Time for the quick fire round that we're starting now. Members and super chats. It's a little bit of an honor for you guys. Let's do it. To honor you guys, not an honor for you to do it. I mean, it's an honor to honor you is what I'm saying there.
Okay, you go first.
I'm going to read out some of the things that have been put in here.
Okay, cool.
So you're willing to ban Rashford from the football terrace too? The terrace included in the ban. Wow, that's devastating. I don't know what that means.
So you're willing to ban Rashford from the football terrace?
Rashford don't come on here, bruv. Yeah, I don't know. Rashford to Dubai, AWB back to cheating. Okay, thank you. Terry, Liverpool are naturally a very defensive fan base. We had to defend ourselves from outrage claims for a long time. Do you think Liverpool get more attacks from fans on socials than any other fan base? Do you think that's true?
I think we kind of all get the same stuff, but we all think people have the most agendas against us. I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't know what you guys are getting, but from what I do see, I just feel like everybody gets it. But maybe it was like that time where, Liverpool were not great for a long time until Klopp came in, and now you guys are kind of at the top, and so now you're like, I don't want to hear anything other than like, we're amazing, like, because for so long you're hearing that you're crap. And I can say for a fact that, like, I know the Arsenal fan base would be like that if we ever got to the point where Liverpool is now, where they won a couple of really big trophies and they're one of the best teams in the country, if not the world. If we got to that point, I'm telling you, Arsenal fans would be the exact same way. Because you take the banter for so long that if you get to a place where you don't feel like you deserve it, you're like, I'm not trying to hear that. So I kind of see it from their perspective, but I do think everybody gets their fair share of shit.
Yeah, I hear every fan base say this,
except Man City.
Well, that's because we just don't hear enough of their fans speaking, but I'm sure their fans think it. I'm sure they think it. This isn't a question, but this is an interesting take. Rashford has 0 PR now. Greenwood has it all. Far worse for longer. 12 goals in his last 57 last season. 1 goal from his last 48 shots. Speak on his PR, son. Do you know what I would say is this? It's about how far down the line you are. I said this on my previous stream, Ryan, and I hear where you're coming from, brother. It's a really good point. One of the reasons why I'm not attacking Rashford's ability and I'm focusing on the club as the main problem, although Rashford does need to stop the PR because it's becoming embarrassing. Rashford falling behind, I'd put a part of it down to the club as well. Why? because every single one of our forwards looks bad, is underperforming. Greenwood ain't killing it. Sancho's killing it. Ronaldo looks like he's 25 again, but Rashford's putting in a disaster class. It's everybody. So you are, Ryan, I agree with you on that. This comment here says Ten Hag has actually won the league twice. Poch is yet to win the league title. I agree with you. But I wasn't saying who the better manager was. I'm talking about who could manage this club with this squad, and who could get the best out of a squad that's probably never going to be built to the fullest that they want. Was my point. Terry, do you think United will get Zachariah? We may. Talks at the one thing that made me really positive today was the Manchester Evening News saying there's been no talks with anybody, not even the agent. But yet Christian Fawkes, Konstantin Ekner, Ronan Murphy, many others have said there have been talks that have been going on with at least with the agent. The reason Man United are telling the local British press, especially, there's been no talks, is they're defending themselves against any embarrassment because multiple other teams, including Liverpool, are also trying to sign him. So there's definitely a chance. This comment here says Levy is snorkeling in the Bahamas as with one striker and no midfield. Love Spurs community. I support. Team drives me nuts. Very boring. Yeah, they're looking like they're in a little bit of trouble right now. Jack here says, wait, if you are going to get a manager who gets a tune out of the squad, why did we sack a manager who people say was only there for vibes? If I speak. But anyway, look, my question for you, Jess, my question for you, KJ with his bad vibes, don't believe we're getting him. The striker, Man United have briefed the press that we're not talking to him, bruv. So Man United aren't doing this PR. Man United have said to the press that we're not getting him. So I've said, Cage, you got that the wrong way around, brother. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's here. Man United have finished.
Oh my gosh, KJ.
KJ's in pain.
Overreacting.
KJ's bleeding. KJ's bleeding, people. That's what he is doing. My question for you, though, Jess, is, and you've got a minute to answer it. It's quick fire, so no long. I know you love to talk and chat and just blah, 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 on and on and on and on and on.
Are you talking about me? Talking about yourself?
I'm talking about you. Yeah, I am talking about you, right?
You like to talk and blab.
I know I do. Let me ask you this. If you lose your next 2 games, will Arsenal's season unravel?
No, I don't think it'll unravel. I think there'll be the usual level of Arteta out, crew will be out in full force and all of that. I remember
the Rat Army.
After the United and Everton game, everybody was sure that our season was over then if we didn't win those games. And so I think there is more pressure now because we're obviously further into the season and we're in the top 4 spot, but we know that it is really, is shaky because teams have games in hand and things are looking a little funky. So yeah, I hear what you're saying about that there could be a switch in momentum in terms of like everybody feeling so good about what we're doing after the Man City game into full on panic. I think it'll be more about the vibe and the fan base being really negative than it like really tearing our season apart. But that being said, letting Spurs potentially get in front of us in the top 4 race, you're leaving it open for somebody else to guide the season. You have to hope that they lose games. And in the past, when people lose like we need them to lose, they don't. So I don't know. I think I want to be balanced here because I don't think it will derail our entire season, but I definitely think it could potentially shake us up. It could potentially shake us up. But you never really know. I do think we need a good result against Liverpool to give us some confidence going into the North London Derby. And I think we need a result there just for the psychological aspect of things. But we know that the team can bounce back even if they go through some baddish form. But we'll see.
That is the longest 1-minute answer we've had on the terrace there, strolling in at 3 minutes and 22 seconds. I told you. It's a good answer, though. Interestingly, I just read the same thing KJ's put in here. He goes, this is not KJ saying it. This is from the Muppeteers. I am told there is no active discussions for Zachariah with Man United. Noise is mostly coming from his agent talking him up in Germany. Now, as I said, KJ, the Man United are briefing people, and the Muppeteers have great connections at the club, that there's nothing happening. So it could be, you could be right. The agent could be lying to journalists. The journalists that told me twice in the last week that the deal is on, there are talks. The agent could be lying. There is no doubt about it. We only kind of purport what the news is saying. My point is, Man United are not selling this news for PR reasons, as I was saying here. Equally, Man United are also going to say this. Remember when Dean Jones come on a few times when the Varane talk was happening? Go back and watch those videos if you care to. And he was sort of like, yeah, Man United are not, they're literally remaining so close-lipped about Raphael Varane because he wasn't on their target list. They don't want to go overtly. They don't want to go too hard for him, miss out on him, and then be embarrassed. The reason why Man United are going to tell their press and connections there's no discussions is if he picks Liverpool, they want to be able to categorically refute
that they were ever interested.
Rejected. That's how I read it. And by the way, I say this about all clubs. Everybody, like, we didn't get rejected. Like, Liverpool did it with Pepe. No, we didn't get rejected. We never bid for him. That's because he said that he wouldn't come to you early doors, so you pulled away. That's still, for me, a rejection, just not an official one because the bid weren't official. But I think talks are going on. I understand why Man United are playing it down, but we'll see what happens. Everyone's got a view and an opinion on it. I'm just very skeptical of the way the news gets played out like that. I really am. United fans keep looking for someone to blame. Blame used to be on Moyes, Fellaini, Di Maria, LVG, Jose, Oli, all left. And now how is it going? Now it's Rashford and co. All I can do is say exactly. But what you happen with it, right? What happens is it's because everybody gets a chance to be right. And anyone for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years that's wanted Rashford gone, this is their time to shine on socials. This is what's popular. You know, that's just the way it is. And it's a shame, but, you know, it's probably always been there. Alan here says, with such a young team, if you start losing too many games, it will be hard for them to bounce back. Mentality needs to be high. That's a man like Alan, of course, big Spurs fan. Alan and man like Gav will both be in the studio on Sunday for the North London Derby watch along on the football terrace. It's going to be fun. Something stinks. That's all I'm saying. And listen, by the way, the Muppeteers are right. They've got connections. They've said this. The MEN have said there's no talk today. I'm not refuting that information. I'm not saying they've made that information up. I'm saying the truth is in the middle for me. It nearly always feels like it is. It always feels like it is. It depends what you want to believe. It's what you want to believe. Have you got a question for me before we finish? Or have you not bothered to do your work again?
I asked it earlier, I think. Or somebody like it was already asked. So now I'm sitting here like, oops.
Okay, then that's fine. I'll let you off. We've actually got a super chat here. This says, Terry, if you ban Rashford from social media, then he can't watch the...
Got it.
Listen.
Got it.
I would love to think that Rashford watches my stuff, but I know he doesn't. He has no idea who this old ball bastard is. He doesn't know who I am. No one knows who I am. I'm famous in my house, and that's about it. Do you know what I mean? But... there we go.
No, you said you went somewhere and people recognized you.
I don't talk about that publicly. Come on, Jay. I don't. That's a private. I do get recognized every now and then. Every now and then, I get a little. I'll be on the tube and someone will like knock me in the back, and I'll turn around and say, "You Terry," and they shake my hand, and it's nice. Like, yeah. Plot twist: Rashford's calling me a clown in the comment. Can you imagine? Honestly, I'd love to chat to Marcus Rashford. I'd actually like to speak to Marcus Rashford privately, and just tell him what he's got to do. Help guide.
Okay.
I would. I'm an older man.
Why would he listen to you? Why would he listen to you?
He wouldn't, because I've got no credibility.
You can't kick a ball.
But no, I'm not talking about kicking the ball. I'm not going to want to coach him how to play football. I want to chat to him. But I've got no credibility. He wouldn't listen to me, but I wish he would. I know just certain things he says and does. I'm like, don't say that because they're going to come for you. Say these things. Do you know what I mean? But that's another conversation for another day. Listen, I would tell Rashford I would tell Rashford to haters to suck eggs. Yeah, exactly. That's what you should do. You should come out and be like every single person that says I'm bad at football after he scores a brace next. Just tell them to go suck their mums. Just do it like that. The people that hate you would have more respect for it.
So terrible.
They've got a bit of something about him. They really would. I think I've frozen. My screen froze there. She knows football, not just Arsenal. Future show. That's actually quite a good name.
No, we're just gonna call this whole thing the Jessica Terrace. It's gonna be my channel.
That is a terrible name.
Actually, yeah, it is. But we're working on it.
How are you gonna prize this channel away from me? How are you gonna do that? You ain't.
Oh, actually, that's actually we could just change the channel name to She Knows Football. Yeah. And you could put me there on the left-hand side, right?
Probably not. Probably not. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember as well today we are sponsored by
people want me bad.
We are sponsored by Fan Team, as you can see here up on the screen. As you can see here, free to enter. That's my team that I've already picked. I'll actually just put my own team off. Where's it gone? Here it is. I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, here it is. That's my team that I've picked to start. I'm actually going to make some changes before this weekend's game. You've got a couple of days left to do this. It's free to enter. Look, there's nearly 10,000 people in this league, as you can just see here. Get yourself involved now. Get yourself signed up today. As I've said, it is free of charge. The second chance fantasy football season. Look at that bad boy there. £100,000 prize pool up for grabs. It's free to enter one team. You can enter additional teams if you want a little cost. It opens and starts in 2 days' time. So get yourself signed up now. Once we've finished this show, all the links are in our description or pinned into our live comment section as well. You'll see my username in there. I'm going to make a few changes to this team before this weekend's games. I'm going to do that tomorrow or Friday, but it's kicking off very soon. You need to get yourselves involved. Otherwise, you're going to miss out. And I'm telling you, I'm winning that prize. I'm winning the top prize in there as well. Let me actually just check what the prize. I don't remember what the top prize is. I should know, but I don't. And now I can't click. The top prize is 20,000. What they do is very good. I'll show you all the prizes, actually. So put this on the screen again. So top prize is 20,000. As you can see, as you go down, you can still win like 500 quid. If you finish inside the top, it goes down. Look how far this goes. I don't even know. I should have found this out earlier. I just keep going down. Even if you finish like in 2000th place, you win a tenner. Like you can earn really good money. If you win it, 20 grand. The reason you can win up to 100,000 is, of course, if you enter more than one team and you do very, very well. So go and get signed up to that now, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely amazing platform. The way to pick it's actually better than FPL as well. It really is good the way they've built it. Very quick. It's great. And actually, the players are much better value as well. So go and get that done. That starts on Friday. Jess, it's been an absolute honor to share the screen and chat football with you again. Thank you. Everyone go check out Jess's channel at She Knows Arsenal.
Will be named She Knows Football soon. Gonna branch out into the world, share my football knowledge. No? Okay.
Channel will die in a week. But listen, everybody that's tuned in, thank you. We're back live after the semi-final tonight, so make sure you're tuning in. Until then, take